tile headlamp I'm happy with now, so pretty much we're going to take a splash mold of that. Then we'll make a fiberglass representation of that, and then we'll do our final finish smoothing and buffing and whatever else of that particular shape in fiberglass. So yeah, still waiting for the damn foam to arrive so I can do the other side, but I'm happy with that one. And just about, it's hard to tell by camera, but I've got enough of a release angle now, I think, everywhere that I can make this out of a single piece mold, which just simplifies things, full stop, especially if I'm going to have to vac bag the mold. So yes, that's the headlamp. My claim for UPS, who's lost my last delivery of black tool and gel coat, is going through at the moment, but I can't wait another week for it. And as you can see now, we've finished one half of this wider seat mold, and I need it. So basically I've ordered just one extra gallon. Hopefully it should arrive this week, so I can finish off the seat mold. So we're on that one. I've been presently playing with designing of a new central switch column, but there's a separate little video on that. Rear clip, we are now into, wow, it's already drying. Yeah, temperature is up a bit up today. We're now on to, actually I might have, if it's that bloody dry, I could do it a little later this afternoon. Good. Yeah, so we're now on to the third section of the mold here. And that's layer 1, 2, 3, 4, that's layer 5 out of 12. So still got a way to go on that, but not too bad. So hopefully we'll get both sides of that done by the end of the month. And the car itself. So one thing that I will probably not do this year, it'll probably be next year, but I can start the design of it. The reason I haven't changed, I had white components for the centre section now, is because I've been toing and froing. The windscreen itself came from a company that used to be British, that produced a car called a Stealth B6, and I bought the windscreen from them. And I was going to base the tooling on that screen. How that company has since been sold, I think, to a Polish gentleman or I don't know, whatever. Either way, I think the owners of the Stealth is now in Poland, but either way around, it seemed rude to, it seemed unlikely that they're going to be able to supply me screens, so I'll have to make windscreen tooling. So a few things have culminated at the same time on this one. First off, if I make the windscreen tooling, then kind of I might as well make it to whatever shape I want it. And at this point, there's also a change I'd like to do to the centre section. Well, the first change of many, because you know me, I always like to optimize what I can. The centre section on this particular roof is obviously has the roof drops down between the bars. Now that's one way of doing that scoop, is to either have the roof reduced and come back up again, to make that roof scoop large enough. Another way of doing it, and if I'm going to redo the screen size, that means I'm going to redo the centre section mould anyway. I'm going to redo the centre section mould, and I'm going to do some changes to that at the same time. So one of the changes might be, instead of having the scoop sat on top of the centre section, what I could do, which might make some things easier. It does mean I'm still going to end up with a secondary panel, whichever. If I mould the outside and the inside, still got to be a secondary panel. What I could do is make the centre section incorporate into that, so there won't be a seam line here. That will literally be part of the centre section. It will be that. So now if I do that, that means I've got to put a secondary panel on the inside and basically seal that panel from the underneath. But that isn't really a problem. I'll cut out, obviously, of a blank at the front, and this this rear end will be completely blanked off, and then I end up having to cut a hole in here, cut a hole on the flange at the front, and then mount basically a fiberglass panel on the inside. But what it does allow me to do is to polish this, super polish this, and this becomes part of that, and I really have a lot less work to do. So I'm tempted to make a new center section with whatever design screen I fit, and have the upper section of the roof scoop incorporated into the mold itself. So that becomes part of this, which I'm very tempted to do. There's a few other things that's going to change as well. Obviously all the windscreen side windows all going to change. The door itself, I've also been thinking of a nicer solution to a problem that I won't go too much into. It's not even a problem, to be honest, it's just a bugbear. So I can change a section of the top of the door, which is an idea I've had but I kind of shelved. But now we're doing a new center section mold. It allows us to make changes here, changes there. It also allows us to make changes here, which is going to be handy, but I'll let you think on that one. The only downside of this changes, I might have to move the pivot point further down here. But you know, at the end of the day, it's not going to be a it's not going to be a big headache. It's just more tooling. Yes, I know. I thought I was coming to the end. Looks like I'm not. So pretty much the whole center section there will not be as you see it now, and effectively the windscreen will definitely be different enough. The fact that I will own that tooling, and nobody can whinge or bitch the fact that the windscreen is of their intellectual property, I think the word. Whatever. This is a little bit depressing and kind of at the same time. I've sold all the 962 Porsche stuff, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted to build the 962 for myself at some point. I've took a deposit for it. It's going to hopefully disappear sometime in June. The guy's been pretty busy, and that's fine. But I don't need to sell it now. I don't need the money. The whole reason for selling it was to put a cash injection into said car. Well, I've kind of just got a bit of a cash injection, and it's not really, it was kind of unexpected. It came at quite a surprise to me. A very, very, fortuitous. As very happy about it. So, push come to shove, I now have, or will have in the next couple of weeks, an investor into Dragon Prototypes. So that investor remains to be silent. He basically wants to see the car completed and go through testing. Eventually we'll build him a complete turnkey car. Now it will be a mild, let me just say this, a mild variation of what we have here, but effectively it will be, he's quite willing and trusting of me to basically invest in me, which is like, I don't quite know how to express that, but it's turned out to be quite funny. Well, the downside of that is I've already sold this bloody stuff, which I would have kept, but now I might need the space. We're already talking where there might even be part production somewhere else. So basically it might not just be here. I might just do the development stuff here at home, and the actual production of whatever we make may end up being somewhere else. It also might, there's a lot of ifs at this point, but it's a very good thing for me at the moment, because I don't have to worry too much about the financial side, which is what's really been putting back a lot of my, I didn't want to be in debt while building the car. So it's gotten very close to that point now where I might be out of debt completely. So yes, anyway, I can't say his name. The gentleman wants to remain silent in that respect. Eventually you'll see the car, and eventually you might see him at car shows with it. He's a very well, how the hell do you say this? He's a very good entrepreneur, and okay. He's a very good entrepreneur and basically self-made multimillionaire. So the fact that he's even interested in this was very. He's a car guy. End of story. So updates on what exactly happens on that. Updates what happens with the company. That's fine. I'm still not at the point when I need to give up my day job, but the light has now just gone from a 100 watt bulb to a 1,000 watt bulb at the end of that tunnel. So which is great for the car. So I've got more of a future game plan. It's frying my head, to be honest, in some respects, because, like, well, you know, the possibilities get quite large. But I don't at this point. I don't know exactly where this is going to go, where this is going to lead me. But it's kind of what I wanted, and now it's getting close to it, and it feels kind of funny. But yes, anyway. So yeah, that's the development on the car at the moment. I dropped it back on its wheels. I lifted the whole car up before so I could clay model the headlamp, so I'm sitting on the seat instead of kneeling on the floor. But I'm happy with that headlamp production side of it. So just like, it's just the first stage, you know. I've got a splash mold, take a fiberglass panel, dock to the fiberglass panel, spray it, whatever I do, make a nice shiny surface, and then take the mold. I will be taking that mold though with epoxy tooling, so basically we can make that out of pre-peg, or I can resin infuse if it's not too bad, but pre-peg will probably be the way to go because it's a small enough part. So we can pre-peg these, we can pre-peg the wheel arch vents and any of the smaller parts, even though I haven't been told to make a 2 litre long pre-peg oven so I can make the wing, but we'll figure that one out at a later date. But yes, so interesting things afoot. Exactly where this leads to, I don't know, but I still have control of how I want to go with this, but we may end up with a couple of employees at some point. But right now, you know, I'm just changing. So this particular car, like I said, we may just to get this one on the road, because I need to get some miles. Needs to get some miles and testing done. So really, this needs to be on the road. So we'll use what we've got at the moment. Probably change the roof scoop just because I can, just as a modelling exercise. But I won't have to worry too much about the final production of that. So it'll be, I can basically fill in fiberglass like I make the bucks and make the centre section technically almost a buck. We'll fit the original stealth windscreen to start off with, but then at a later date, before the car ever gets to the point of ever being sold or even make any money on it, we'll change the complete centre section out. But yes, that's yes, exciting news. It's not a huge amount of progress, but it is on that. So I've been doing some CAD designing on these are the heater control that come from not Vintage Air, or some Classic Auto Air. So obviously you've got the fan speed selector, and then you've got the 2 servo actuator controls. One's a servo actuator for the water that obviously comes from the motor, so the hot water, and you put it all the way to its limiting factor, and I think that turns the AC on. I mean, I have yet to confirm that. And the second one is for the duct, because there is one AC duct in here which you can kind of stare through my mockings up. There's another servo controller here which will allow you to rotate, so you can have it going to purely to defrost upstairs, so straight to defrost the screen, or you can have it to your feet, so you don't have a mechanical slide thing. You've actually got a nice servo actuated rotary. Well, all of those incorporated with another ECU 0 to 5 volt 10 position sensor, which rotary switch, which yet again it can be, we can set it up for whatever, whether it be boost control or ABS control, because yes, I'm playing with that at the moment, and this part here, and then basically we are incorporating all of those into one. So basically there's going to be down the center of the cabin from the dashboard. You'll have an ignition switch, your heater controls, that one rotary for the ECU, and whatever buttons that I need to for, say, the hydraulic lift on the front suspension, or the, you know, whether I turn the exhaust system into full sort of blown diffuser mode, which is going to, we'll toy with that and see how effective that is. But I want to I want to do some static testing as it is, and then we'll cut basically holes in the diffuser, and we'll have a secondary exhaust system that'll route into that, which will bypass the actual main box. So and then we'll see what differences it makes, if it makes any difference at all. It sounds good, blown diffuser, but it doesn't necessarily mean it can actually work. So we'll do some real world testing on there. So all those kind of selectability will be from that central sort of spline of a switch panel. I don't want too much extra switch panel. We've got the 12 position can in the roof. I've got another 5 push buttons now that's on that centerpiece. The lights is going to use a Volkswagen rotary light unit. So basically for British and European regulations, you basically turn the light switch. If you want the fog lamps, you lift it out once and then lift it out again. So that gets round all the kind of issues with your fog lamps not being on and off. It's also an automatic light sensor, so we'll have a light sensor in the screen somewhere. So when it goes dark, it automatically brings the lights on. So it's a it's a nice little auto unit and combined. Obviously, you need a computer to run it because it's all low voltage stuff. And effectively, we have a BCM, or we have a PDM in this particular case, so we can run the lights. Run the logic through the switch, but then the logic will go to what's basically called virtual logic, or PLC style logic, into the power distribution module, which then will run the lights. So it's kind of a semi-complex way of doing it, but I'm hoping to offer a PDM as part of the standard wiring loom package. Now, if you don't want to go away from that, you want to go volts to relays and relays and fuses, that's perfectly fine. But everybody's going PDM now, so realistically it would be rude not to utilize that. Anyway, 18 minutes, yes, I babble on. So yes, interesting step forward recently. So detractors aside, I don't want to step on anybody's toes, nor do I wish to encourage anybody's wrath as far as the windscreen shape is concerned. So just to sidestep that windscreen change, center section changes, and then that sort of becomes a a stepping stone for a bunch more. Anyway, I'll speak to you all soon.